This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website. Agenda.
We didn't mention the notes from the last meeting.
Did you take notes last meeting? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have them. Okay. So approval of January minutes is basically the first thing we always do, obviously.
Exactly.
So, anyway,
Motion to approve minutes.
second. So
Okay.
motion passes. Okay. Swap shop container. We're still working on getting a swap shop container. However, there is an account set up though. If we fundraise, it will go to. It is an earmarked essentially for the swap shop. If we raise money on it, it's already set up. It was set up last year. We just never did any fundraising.
Okay, who set it up? Town?
Yep, Jackie did.
Oh.
Jackie and Amy did. So we're good to go on that. I actually got confirmation on that.
People about the container, but because it's the only thing we can do. The unofficial update on the transfer station is possibly because of the changes in administration that we will not have the money to fully fund the water treatment plant. And everything as far as recycling and swap shop depend on where everything will land.
That plan is being kicked out of here. So the swap shop not being able to be moved isn't a qualm anymore. Because the situation's changed. That is not even going to be discussed. It's probably being discussed, but it's not going to be happening in this year and the next. So essentially, like, it's on hold, which means if we can get a container and find a location and some of these other things, we may be able to get something up and running. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at trying to get a container because we think it'll increase our throughput. I'd like to also get a couple things like a dumpster, a budget, and some other things, obviously, but it's a slow process, a small town, and right now they're swamped with the one of my next items will be the action plan, which is going on. There's the town master plan, which is going on, and then they're doing all kinds of stuff for the new year. So everybody's pretty busy at this point, I guess. So this is why it's probably taking a little bit of time. And we're trying to get a budget as well, but I've heard nothing on it. I just put it on there because it's a reminder to me.
Gary sent us a thing about some grants.
I was going to bring that up in new business because it's new business.
Massachusetts.
I was going to bring that up in new business because it's new business.
Sorry.
I don't want to get off track. Crossover, yeah. Sure.
We could potentially get a container.
Yes.
We could get one from the town, and short of that, we can raise money for one.
Yeah, the town has some in inventory. It's just a matter of, is one available for us? And in lieu of that, we can raise money and buy one ourselves. I was told if we get one, it would be ours. I was basically given like a gentleman's agreement that if I got one, it wouldn't be a problem. I was willing to get in trouble to get one. It wouldn't be a trouble now. So basically I was given soft permission to kind of fundraise and start that process to get one. And by the time we get one, they may say, well, don't worry, we got one in inventory. So then we'd have two, or we'd build a building out of them. Cause I also got some everyone was interested in my concept of a new swap shop made from containers, essentially, like simplify that.
Okay.
If you want to see a picture of it, I do have one. Pass it around. It's not that. It's just a rough drawing, just kind of give an idea because people don't really know what buildings made out of containers look like sometimes. There's a guy in LA called the Container Guy. He sells like kits. Essentially, remember we thought we'd have to cut a hole in it? We wouldn't.
Oh,
it's just a pencil drawing, so she'd probably not be able to pick it up on camera. It looks like a blank piece of paper to her. But there's a guy who sells kits. So like, again, we thought we'd have to cut and weld and all this stuff. You don't even have to do all that.
really?
The kits would allow basically a smooth facilitated assembly that inside it wouldn't even be able to tell it's containers.
Cool.
So yeah. So again, that would be probably extending to our budget, but there's options in that regard, and that just kind of opens the door for something like a recycled building, or if we find containers that a company has and want to buy them, like it gives us a lot of opportunities essentially. Beyond that, that's kind of it. Like I said, I want to move on to we had the crossover meeting. We're going to do these meetings. They're going to be called working groups. They're essentially like a way for us to discuss things without deliberating them. And it's going to be 3 members from our committee and 3 members from the Climate Action Committee. And we're going to, like every other month, we're going to meet up at some point during the day, just on Zoom. We're not going to have to go anywhere or do anything. Just again, because we have, okay, so we're tackling solid waste. They're tackling greenhouse gases. Increasingly, it's becoming evident that the greenhouse gas problem that they're trying to solve is caused by the trash coming off Cape solid waste. So if we reduce solid waste, we reduce greenhouse gases. And so really that's kind of what this working group is. It's like, how do we reduce solid waste? And a lot of it does revolve around the transit station, but it's not going to be exclusive to the transit station. It's just like, that's where we could probably have the space to do these things. The problem we come down to is like, we have to come up with plans and then also figure out how we would get them done without labor or without resources and things like that. So right now it's just a lot of discussion and planning for possibly putting things in the climate action plan. And that'll be kind of overlapping with several other things, obviously. But yeah, we're going to start doing that. We had one yesterday. For a first meeting, it was pretty productive in terms of like finding a focus of kind of like where we think we overlap a lot. And having a way to kind of like say, like, we don't want to do this work twice where you're doing it and we're doing it. And then 2 months later, we're like, why did we do it? So that'll help, I think, facilitate that a little bit. And we may do it with some other committees. I don't know, depending on how we're trying to do things. But right now, that committee makes the most sense to do it with. So that's where we're at with those crossover meetings. And then we have to figure out, anyone want to be part of those working groups? I mean, I don't have everyone here, but do you want to be part of the working groups at all? Yeah. Okay. So you're available to be in the working groups. I'll ask Jim as well to see if he wants to rotate in, and then we'll have people rotate in and see what works best for us and them, and we're going to kind of figure it out together. There used to apparently be a lot of collaboration between the committees, and that at some point in the past died. And we realized when we started doing it again, someone's like, well, we did this before, like 15 years ago, whatever it was. So I was like, okay, well, maybe we're going to bring that back and try to do something effective. Oh man, they do, but it's only 3 of their members coming. So we specifically don't want a quorum,
Right.
and we're not going to deliberate. So I want to say it's 8, but don't hold me to that. Oh, there we go. We got James. Excellent.
Oh, I think he has.
No, he's in. He's just muted.
How come your picture was up?
Oh, because my camera, I didn't have permission for Zoom because I had to update as well.
Right.
And it was like, restart my computer to use my camera or don't. And it was like, I was already in the call. I didn't feel like restarting it. So the next time we have one, you'll see me.
Okay.
I actually have a really good
Oh,
background too. It's my wife has all these plants behind me. It looks like I'm in a jungle. So it's like, I missed it, but it's fine. So that was the crossover meeting. The reason the crossover meeting really happened was because of the climate action kickoff, which is the next item I want to go over. This was like sort of a very small meeting of specific people who are like basically really involved in trying to make action towards climate and are in some committee or group or whatever. So it was like our committee was there with me. Climate Action had somebody there. Open Space had somebody there. Oh man, 2 other committees had somebody there. The Parks Department had the Rangers, like the park people there in their uniforms. All these people were there. And basically there was like a big group, Cape Cod Conservation was there. And we were trying to discuss like basically coming up with some initial skeletons for like what a climate action plan for this community would look like. And there's several elements. There's, like, obviously we're trying to reduce greenhouse gases, but there's also the sort of like realistic element of like FEMA probably won't exist if we need it. So we need to figure out how we're going to mitigate disasters on our own before they happen. And some of that's already wrapped up in our plan. Like for instance, sandbags is extremely effective. Well, where do we get sand? Broken bottles. That was already part of the plan we discussed. So some of these things will probably move forward with that plan rather than having to be actions that we're taking as a committee. But anything can happen. Everything's kind of fluid. This happened. And then we were basically like whining over social media or texting each other. Some of us that were at the meeting because like we had made plans that relied on federal funds that then didn't exist the next 2 days. So it's fluid. That's why these crossovers will happen. And hopefully we can keep everything on track by meeting a little bit more in smaller groups and stuff. But
That meeting that you attended with the open space, Parks Rangers, Cape Cod Conservation, was that all part of the climate action.
No, that's a bigger town thing. It's like a secondary part to the master plan. I'm not involved in that because I'm not high enough on the totem pole to be important. I think that was mostly like council people and Jackie and those kind of people, because none of those people were there. Some of them phoned in, but this was clearly like a idea meeting that they were trying to get like from the committees. So yeah. The newsletter, we didn't send out a newsletter yet, right? Okay, perfect. Did you get my other email? I sent you another email like after I sent the agenda out.
Yeah,
Okay.
The one about the logo.
Yes, okay, I can sort of hear you. So yes, I also sent an email out with t-shirt concepts on it. I want to do some fundraising. I think a t-shirt is a great way to do that. We just need to have one shirt, several sizes. And then anytime we're at an event, we can sell some shirts. Then the funds will go towards the new whatever. I've chosen the concept blue and white because that is Eastham's colors. The logo I'm not happy with, which is why I emailed you about the logo. You may be able to see it on the concept pictures. I wasn't able to get the results I wanted out of AI. So I was going to have her generate one because she was successfully generated one that I liked with a little lighthouse. I just wanted to be a windmill for Eastham. So if she can make that happen, that'll go on the shirt and we'll figure out the shirts. My wife had the idea to put local treasure on there because it's swap shop. And I think we'll try to do like a little cartoony picture of the swap shop on the back or something, just like an outline of what it looks like, not an actual picture because it would be too detailed. And that maybe will be something we can sell and we'll update it every couple of years. And I got a guy who's already willing to do it for a good price because my wife already uses the heck out of them. So maybe we do hats first too. I don't know yet. We'll see. But I think selling some kind of merch. I have a couple places that are willing to let me set up a stand and sell it in Orleans and in Eastham because it goes towards the swap shop. So that's some things. My wife suggested also a bake sale just because I'm a good baker. So I thought that could be something else we do. But again, that would be like a one-off event, a windmill weekend, just to draw people to our table, maybe. And it would be like cupcakes because I'm a cake baker. I like to do cakes. Basically Cake Week on British Bake Off is the only week I care about. So I could probably do cupcakes. I may do cookies or something. I'm not a big fan of making cookies just because I like cakes, but it's not for me. So I'll try to work out something that pleases the crowd. But that is another way. We just sell them real cheap. And that would be a way to raise money to buy shirts if we didn't have the money to buy shirts. Although I think I can just come up with that cash. And then a raffle as well was suggested, which isn't on here because it was suggested afterwards. But we go to local businesses in Eastham. We go, hey, we want to do a raffle. This is all going towards a swap shop, blah, 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 which we had discussed doing some sponsorship. So this kind of falls in that, but it's more towards gift cards and then like actually giving them real estate on a sign. Again, it could be something we do during Windmill Weekend or any other event. But just my personal opinion is if we have a little bit of seed money, it will make everything we ask for look a little more plausible. Even if we went to an investor to say like, hey, we want to build a new swap shop and here's what we need and go, well, how much do you have so far? The number of times I've gone to somebody to get business money or something like that and they go, well, how much do you have? And if you go none, you don't have the hustle it takes to get the money. So like then they want you to go raise $5,000 to show that you're serious. And then, so I figured if we do that, it shows the town we're serious, we're taking this seriously, we're trying to raise some cash for the swap shop. And then at the end of the day, maybe eventually the swap shop has a spot to sell the t-shirts themselves for tourists to bring people in a little more or whatever. I don't know. It's just if we have something to sell to raise money, it'll help us, I think, personally.
So
I'm also open to other ideas.
I know you're having trouble hearing me, so I'm sorry.
I can hear you.
Okay. A couple other ideas with that. I mean, I love the t-shirt idea especially with the swap shop theme. But also something, we talked about something that would be on our branding side, like, so maybe compost buckets, to sell compost buckets as both advertising that you can do composting at the transfer station and make it easier for people to do it.
Do you mean like a branded compost container? We did talk about doing them before, and I don't know if they ever went anywhere, but we can always try to do them instead of trying to do them as a giveaway, we do them as a fundraiser.
Right.
Again,
Yeah.
we sell them just above cost. We're not trying to make money. We're just trying to raise money.
Yeah. That, and the other one that I think I mentioned before, and I don't know if it's possible, it might be just too far out there, was Cape Associates has that Playhouse raffle that they do with
Those
nonprofits.
little buildings? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Cape Associates builds for free a playhouse, and then you get to raffle it off.
There used to be one sitting out by,
They do it in spring.
yeah. It's like the little, thing when you go into the transfer station, that little dollhouse on the right.
Yeah.
They, usually it's a little bit bigger than that, but that's the concept.
Yeah, and they could do one of our old swap shop or the new swap shop. I mean, I don't know. But I think the waiting list for that is very long, but it might be something to look into.
Even if it's not them, we could get.
Many swap shops, we could just build up demand.
Well, I was thinking we could even, I mean, we could even find somebody else that does the same, something similar, who can do something similar for us.
Mhm.
I think I already said this in a meeting I was in earlier today, but I think that what you're saying is kind of like there is an opportunity for someone to form a nascent tiny home industry here, because they just changed zoning, so now we can build tiny homes as accessory buildings on properties, and as you can essentially get one lot and put many tiny homes on it as like a cottage village, or socially or communally living situation. So that, I mean, that's another opportunity. If we find somebody that does that, they could do the playhouse and raffle it off, or a tiny home and raffle it off if they really want to go crazy. Get their name out there, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It's a good idea. I'm gonna see what I can find on that. Like what? Tiny homes? Yeah, I know. They deliver it like a Sears house, except it's much smaller than a Sears house, obviously.
Can we go back to is the newsletter all set?
The newsletter is, so we didn't send one out yet, so maybe we get one ready to go for March, since that's kind of gear up of the season. I mean, I honestly, if you want, I'll give you access to our email so you can send it out from ours. I actually have a mailing list as well from previous years, which is in that mailing list, which would make it easier for you. Although I may have given you a copy, I don't know.
I don't think I have one.
Okay, no worries. I try not to distribute people's emails if I can help it, so I probably didn't. But I have it, so I'll make sure that I'll email you extra after this, and we'll get you logged in, because it's not like difficult to log into the thing. I do it every day.
Okay.
And then you just send it from there. That way it's coming from us, and it's not like a whole separate thing we got to deal with.
Yep. Okay. Is there
So we'll plan
is
that
there
for
a date?
March.
Yeah. Do you want to say a specific date so that I force myself to finish it up?
What do you feel comfortable with? You're the one that's doing it, so
March 15th.
March 15th sounds great.
The climate action plan kickoff.
That's the kickoff meeting I was talking about before. That's the one where we were all meeting, and it was kind of like a brainstorm. I mean, there's going to be more focused sessions with the committees. Our committee is also included in that, so we will have our own meeting with them. But this was like a first get a list and then start working it down. So there will be probably future meetings with them, whether full groups or small groups, I don't know yet. I'm just waiting for them to kind of email me. But yeah, that's something we're going to be doing as well.
James, would you be interested in doing a cross meeting with the Climate Action Committee?
James?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Say it better.
Would
Yeah.
you be interested in joining, because these are Zoom only meetings, the cross committee meetings between climate action and recycling?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, 'cause Andrew and I did the first one on Monday, right?
Yeah, we did the first one, and there'll be another one will be in like a month, 2 months. A secondary question, is there like a local volunteer brigade within the Part-Time Residents Association?
I'm not sure, I understand what you mean by that.
Well, like there's a lot of things in town that need volunteers, and we're scarce on people. So just a thought, maybe the part-time residents, when they're here, they form like a little volunteer brigade to help fill in the gaps. In the meantime, we're running short on manpower in a lot of areas, and we need people here who will do that. But I know there's a big to-do. I don't know if you saw the meetings yesterday. There was a big to-do at the meetings of people in the taxes with the RTA. A way to extend a bit of maybe some goodwill would be if the part-time residents committed to some kind of volunteer brigade and would help fill in the gaps at things like the swap shop and get to know the local people. And it would be a little bit more of a blend, I think. It would be a little helpful.
Well, I think a lot of the part-time residents have attempted over the course of the past year or two. This committee was open, obviously, to part-time residents joining. Most committees are not.
Yeah, I know.
And so people have offered their services and basically they've been rebuffed. So, you know, it isn't for want of people wanting to help. It's more a matter of people feeling they're not all that welcome.
Well, um, I'm not really speaking specifically of committees more or less. I'm thinking of like, well, places like the swap shop or places like we want to do a compost program. One of the constant things that kind of comes up is we don't have the labor, we don't have the people. And so if we had like a promised brigade of people who are like, we will help volunteer when there's things for us to help with, it might help to form some confidence that those tasks that we want to get done will actually have people that are willing to do them, at least for a bulk of the year. Thankfully, like for instance, composting is seasonal. You don't compost in the winter really anyway. I don't. I just sit my piles and I get them ready for dormancy and they sit all winter. So like that's a great volunteer task. Like tons of part-time residents could be here in the seasons. Those are the composting seasons, and they could, it's not easy work. It's a lot of manual labor, but one of the reasons it's not getting done is because we don't have the people. So I'm trying to think of ways I could get like a core of volunteers that'd be willing to tackle these like less than desirable tasks while also then being able to engage with their communities as well. The problem is the labor.
I can certainly raise that issue with folks I know in among the part-time residents. You know, I mean, I can't speak for anybody but myself. We're not here for the entire season during the summer. We're back and forth between New York and Vermont, where we have family, and Cape Cod, where we have our summer house, and Idaho, where we have family. And I think a lot of us are the same way. You know, we'll come up for a couple of days, go home for a couple of days. You know, but if we knew of projects that were happening and the projects were open to people, stepping in, that I guess the thing, I guess the point I'm trying to make in a sort of roundabout way is if people knew of something, of a need, and knew of the time that the need had arisen, I'm sure people would be willing to help out.
Okay. Well, I'm just right now trying to move some chess pieces on the board to see what I can maybe make happen. So, this is just a question at the moment. It's a thought. Just because I was listening to the calls yesterday and the people calling in about there was there's part-timers and then there's locals. And while I understand why that exists, a way to fix it is to, make the locals see that the people who are here some of the time are also doing a lot to help the town. I mean, the local mentality, from my view, and you guys are all locals too, so feel free to correct me, is that the locals are kind of doing all the heavy lifting to keep the town going when you guys aren't here. And so then you guys come in and get to enjoy all the good times. And so just the offer of a volunteer brigade may go towards goodwill in that regard. Again, it's just an idea because I see how things are going, and there's these new taxes people were yelling about it all day today at places. I've been here all day almost, and people have been coming in and out complaining about it because it was a big hot button yesterday. And I thought, well, if there's a way for them to not necessarily have to do anything, just a show of good faith that says, I'm not just here for the good times, I'm here to help out, I think people might feel a little better about it. And then that would also allow us to say, we have a volunteer army of people who want to help, and we can get these tasks done, like composting. And some of it's just a matter of doing it once. So it's not even like all the time. It'd be a long commitment. It's like a summer project, like that big compost pile. You know what I'm talking about? The one with the invasives. So like that kind of stuff.
I still think the answer is a digester, not.
I do too, but like
the pile. That's just.
I understand. I get it, but like it still is a thing that would still have to be done even with a digester.
Right.
So it doesn't. So saying it like, oh, we don't want to do that, we have to do it anyway. Why not just do it?
Okay.
And that way, when the digester comes, it's a much easier prospect.
Okay.
And again, it's like, well, we don't have $20,000 to pay all these people. Well, we have an army of volunteers.
I agree with Jim, though. I think if we asked people to volunteer and they knew what it was.
Agreed. I have to organize something first. This is just a fresh idea I came up with today. And I figured he's here. James knows Kathy's in charge of it. They can discuss it and say, this is a good idea, something we want to do, or something that won't work. Whatever it is. It doesn't have to be people who are here all year. They just have to come to help out when they're here. You know, it could be something as simple as that. Because there is a lot of things to be done in town that we just don't have the people. The transit station's always short on people.
But if we don't ask.
I know, that's why I'm saying if we can get a list of people who are ready to do it, and then we could say, look, we need to ask, we have to ask, instead of like this, well, it's not gonna get done with all the people. That's the attitude that seems to come up a lot. So I'm just trying to think of ways around it.
I think I've been involved with a lot of things here where I live. I was the equivalent of a selectman for 16 years, and
Yeah, I know.
we you know, we would occasionally look for volunteers to help with things, but I don't know that there's any central information sheet or whatever that says here are the things in the town that are looking for people to help
You
out.
are 100% correct. I am also working on that. That is, I'm a very busy person who has no job. So I'm working on a lot of weird things that I think could be better in the town. And I
Yeah.
think that the problem is it's just the people who are doing it are working as hard as they can, but also have been here for years and don't see gaps because I'm not from here. I can see gaps and go, well, what if we did this because they did it in this town and it worked? And what if we did this because it worked in this town? So I'm hoping that we can improve some of those things. One of them is communication. I found that there's a community garden. I couldn't find it. Couldn't Google it. Couldn't find anything about it online except for articles written about it, but didn't tell me where it was. So it was like, awesome, there's a community garden, but I can't. So that's one of the things I am trying to improve. And that is where what you're saying comes into play. I'd like a community announcement board of some kind. And this is where we would say calling all volunteers or whatever. And that would be the go-to place for everybody. Right now we have a town website, but it's just the page and it has like a little bit of information, but there's no like town crier bulletin board thing. And Facebook has taken that over, but not everyone has Facebook or hangs out on the same groups. Facebook is not, it doesn't work like that anymore. As much as it's useful for people, and I think that people are going to use it regardless. I think as a community bulletin board, something that just information's there, nothing else, it would be great. And that would be where volunteers are requested. Like I actually was going to hang up, I mean, luckily somebody walked in today, but I also had my wife hang up something at the pot shop for volunteers for this committee to see if we could get somebody younger, you know? So, I mean, congratulations on coming on your own.
Charge of the swap shop.
Well, I'm the liaison to the,
They post them.
Joe Rossetti anecdotally is the one that does the Facebook page.
I think that we should have something, have Joe post something about volunteers for the recycling committee.
That's an excellent idea. I'll talk to him.
I mean, and if we need volunteers for the swap shop, we should do it all together. Like,
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, once things pick up, we may, because I think we lost one. Would you say that everybody there is still up to par, like since the last season? I feel like some of them have
As long as
gotten
it doesn't get
injured.
any colder.
Yeah.
We've only closed 2 days this winter. We're out of our damn minds.
Well, I know we lost somebody that volunteered though before, right? Joe is no longer
No,
volunteering.
Joe comes in a pinch.
Sorry, not Joe. Wagon.
Richard.
Richard, yeah, Richard.
Retired.
Yeah, Richard's no longer doing it. So that's like technically, like to me, that's sort of an open slot. And if we
Yeah.
do increase what we want to do with the swap shop, we would need additional volunteers. That's again why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Everybody I talked to, my ideas are like, where are you gonna get the volunteers? So I just want to sort of have an answer for that. And that's where I thought, you guys could be of help. And that would be, I mean, if we got that, then it's like anybody that has any issues with part-time residents is gonna go, well, they're helping out.
well, and you get to know people, like.
Exactly. I
I
mean,
volunteered, you're not gonna tell them.
yeah, it was kind of funny because like I said, I listened to this call and some of the people were like, well, I have friends there, but the problem is their friends were also part-time residents. So really, do you have friends there? Like, it didn't really compute to me. Some of the people, or like people being like, my fifth home is there and I'll sell it if you guys do this. And it's like, I have no homes. I feel no sympathy. But like, it was like, okay, well, how can we bridge that gap? And I was thinking if they volunteered for things very publicly, almost obnoxiously, then it would be hard to say like they're not contributing or they're not doing whatever, or we're doing all the heavy lifting alone.
Do you wanna ask Joe to post members for recycling committee for the town of Eastham?
For, well, the system at the moment has been when people show up and they're good citizens, they get invited to join.
You're talking about the recycling committee. You're talking about the swap shop.
I'm talking about the swap shop.
Talk about recycling.
Oh, recycling committee. No, I can certainly ask him to post stuff about part-timers and stuff, right?
I would say, well, I would say in general. the
Yes.
recycle
Yeah,
committee-
we're not. This part-time thing is just a theory I'm trying to work with to see if I can get like an actual
Well, we
organized
have-
volunteer brigade.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It always
Right,
is more,
right.
they're
No, this
dropping
is
like
true.
flies.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah, Molly's not very mobile.
Yeah.
If
So,
somebody goes away, Molly's hurt, like.
yeah, and then,
They're
well, like,
tired.
They're
yeah,
back.
yeah, and then also we had people at this,
So we can have 4 people, and then we can have 2 alternatives.
Yep.
So we.
well, are you an alternate? Oh, I thought you were an alternate.
No, she's sufficient.
Okay. Okay.
You and I
It's
got
my bad.
posted
Yeah,
out,
we got the same time, that's why I was-
got ousted out.
Yeah, right. So we have room for alternates too then.
So, right, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
There's,
I see what you mean. Yeah, I forgot about the alternates. I thought, for some reason, I was thinking you were an alternate.
Well,
Okay.
we can put the hard press on Lake when we're done.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's really all I got, I think, for the moment. It was just like that idea came to me today. Oh, any new business? You were talking about something before.
No, it all sort of marches around.
Oh, okay, I was thinking you were talking about something related to the crossover meeting.
No, we mentioned those new grants.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I did forget that. Gary
Yeah,
sent a
just-
thing out
just
for a
before-
grant for,
Before we move on to the next one, I just looked at the recycling committee page, and it says it's 5 members and 2 alternates, plus an optional swap shop liaison.
I'm wearing 2 hats, that's how I'm messing things up.
so there's 5 of us and we have 0 alternatives.
yeah, then we do need alternatives. So yeah, I guess we do want to do it that way. Gary sent out a thing about a state grant, a micro grant for anywhere.
$3,000 and $10,000.
Correct. There is some restrictions. It cannot be based on recycling or composting, but it can be on reducing and reusing. I know. That's why I thought it was funny too. It can be based on reducing and reusing, which is again,
This is
so
the description of a swap shop.
yeah, which is exactly what the swap shop is. So I'm thinking, when I read that restriction, I was like, I don't even know how I would. I'm the recycling committee, but like then I saw that it was like reducing or reusing. I was like, that's really the swap shop. So I was thinking we may be able to even put in for a grant for the $10,000 to buy a new building, or at least buy the containers to build a new building.
Right.
That would give us enough to buy the parts and probably do some inside work on them to make it usable. It might even, I'm trying to budget in my head here. It might even be enough to buy a roll-up
That's assuming-
door.
That's assuming you get the whole amount, but at
That's
the very
assuming we
least,
get
they
the
can
whole
help us
amount,
buy a
correct.
container or add the necessary accessories.
Even if we get the lowest approved amount, which is 3,000, that is technically enough to buy a container. It would give us a year, $3,000 and a year to buy it. So that means we don't have to get it right. We would have to get it. We wouldn't have to get it right away. And
But
like,
we don't have to put it in the final location.
we also don't, yeah.
Which
So-
means that we can actually actualize the grant within the year and actually get the money as opposed to many other things that we would like to plan, but since no one knows what's landing at the transfer station, there is little or no point in us planning past the point.
So what's the deadline for the grant?
April 1st is when the actual meeting for like a thing
Did
happens.
you not get this?
There's like a meeting on it, April 1st. So I think it's after that, but like, maybe you and I can powwow it, because you said you're good at filling those out. So maybe we powwow about getting that filled out, and then we have time. It's not till April. So, I know it is, but like, at least it's not tomorrow. Usually I find these grants and the deadline's 3 days away. So I'm really happy you found it, because I was trying to find grants and it would be like, oh, it ends on January 31st and it is January 30th. Like I couldn't find them in time.
So, well, I'll read through it. Whatever, April 1st.
Yeah, there's a Zoom meeting or whatever to like participate. That's on April 1st. So like at least then is when we have to start. But if we can get everything together before then even better.
So we'll bring some more information after that meeting.
Yeah. But that's the only new business I have, unless anyone has anything else.
Gwyneth or James, do you have any new business that you want to open up?
Not that I can think of offhand.
Perfect. Okay.
No.
Well, I think that's it.
Well, do we want to talk about moving forward with any of these fundraising activities?
Actually, yes. So where are we on? I think the t-shirts is good. Anyone against the t-shirts rather than, I think everyone's pro t-shirt if we can do a t-shirt, because then it gives us something to wear. It doesn't have to be a uniform, but people can wear it. It kind of fits all the bills.
Does it come, do you have like an estimated cost?
No, because depends on how many shirts I want to get. So
Yes.
it just comes down to finalizing a design at this point and then ordering, ordering them. My wife, like I said, she orders a lot of merch, so he's gonna be the guy probably because he's local.
So in my experience with getting shirts left and right every other month with school, the more different places you have things, the pricier.
I
it
know.
becomes.
There's 3 on there.
So if we can connect them, maybe if you can consolidate it and bring
To one
us a
side.
final.
Yeah, I may just do a front and a back. I'll have to see what he is. I'll get her to give me a quote from him because he'll give her a better price than he'll give me, and they'll do the work for us to give us that discount. She's very aggressive.
So for our next March meeting, you'll have a final design and.
I might even have a
quote.
prototype. Don't quote me, but he's the kind of dude who will be like, "Hey, I ran 3 of them off. What do you think?" And like, he'll give me 3 colors, and then I'll bring them to the meeting and we'll look. But I was hoping to get a new logo because I'm not wild about the logo that's on there. I just couldn't get a better result of the AI because I didn't train it. I'm using my own AI now. I'm using a DeepSeek spinoff. So it's not as good as GBT was until I get it trained to be as good as I want it to be.
So you pick the design and you ask for the quote, so we have both. the
Correct.
Design and the quote in March. And if that's the case in March, we potentially could vote on applying for a grant and ordering t-shirts.
Yep. Sounds good to me. Oh yeah, I was gonna show her.
There's 3 parts. I'm just sharing the t-shirt.
Yeah, the t-shirt design's in your email if you want to see it. It's not, again, it's not final. It's just sort of like, is this good or is this bad?
And
Well,
Andrew
local
will
treasure
follow-
is certainly a nice touch.
Thank my wife. She thought of that. Here, you can have this too. This is like our refocus for the last year or so. Circular economy stuff.
and
Yeah.
Andrew will follow up with James and Gwyneth and John for the next potential meetings that are up and coming or added next.
Well, that'll be the crossover meeting. That's not going to be until April. So yeah, I'll follow up with that. And then we'll set that meeting up separately because it's just a Zoom. And Tom actually sets that up. I kind of let him lead that one just because it's easier for him to do it than him and us try to both do it.
So seeing as there's no new business, I motion to adjourn the meeting with our
Sounds
next
good.
meeting date, March 18th here, or on Zoom at 5 o'clock. It's a Tuesday. We're going back to our regular scheduled
I hope.
meetings.
Yes,
I hope.
you submitted?
No, but now I think it's set up to go off on Mondays. There's no vacations. That gives me 5 whole days of vacations to pop up to mess up my dates.
All right,
Does anybody want to second my adjournment?
I second.
So yeah, sorry, second. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just.
Thanks.
See you next month.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, see you guys. Thank you for showing.
Thanks for coming.
Bye, everyone.
A little worried there for a minute. We were starting to lose people.
So, any questions?